Hello everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing amazing today. If you are joining us this morning, it is noon here in East Texas, so wherever you're coming from, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good day. If you're here in the States, hope you're having celebrating an amazing Memorial Weekend. We're celebrating everyone who has served, who gave everything for this country. So hopefully you guys are embracing the memory very well. So hello again. So today we're back. I said I was going to commit myself to doing this, so it is going to happen. So this is literally week 2. We're going to try to stay on a streak of actually me doing my live book reading. So we are going to be reading from Death's Intern. For everybody who's new and is going, what in God's name is DC working on today? So I have committed for this year to give away 1 million free books of Death's Intern. So it is in the comments. You guys can pick it up from anywhere. There is no commitment whatsoever. I'm kind of joking about it. I'm planning to give 1 million books with no commitments. We're going to do 1 million one-night stands of book readings, if that makes any sense. Enjoy. So hoping to give you guys something to smile about this morning, something you guys can embrace. So we're picking up where we left last week. So if you were not with us last week, don't worry about it. Go back and watch it if you wanted to listen to me doing the book reading. If not, pick up the book and catch up with us. We're in chapter 3. And this is probably one of my favorite chapters because this is when Isis finally meets Constantine and Bartholomew. So this is the part that we're going to get started on. Chapter 1, you got to introduce to the fabulous Miss Isis. As she's trying to do her job at Abuelitas, you got to meet quickly Abuelitas. You also got to meet Bob. So you met 2 of our big characters. Now we're going to jump in where you meet kind of the rest of the crew and really figure out what happens. So chapter 2 sets up the setting of how and why she possibly qualifies for Death's Intern, which seriously is not the best recruitment process that anybody can have. Been trying to tell the crew that they should really consider it. Isis is probably feeling the same way. So we're going to pick up where we're at. Our goal today is to do chapters 3 and 4. If you have any questions, I'll be looking around in the comments. I'll give you some insight of what was I thinking while I was writing this and kind of the goal behind. This week, it's all about giving you something to get lost in. Enjoy the fantasy. If you have never read urban fantasy before, it is literally taking place in the regular world. So you get modern day cities. So yes, Texarkana is real. So you're going to get modern day locations with that touch of magic. Death's Intern starts a little bit more very mundane because she knows nothing about the supernatural world. She doesn't know there's magic in the world and kind of gets dumped into it. So you start from a very mundane magic, like nobody knows is there, to slowly escalate throughout the series. So for anybody who magic is not your thing, this is a great book to catch up with. And if you're getting ready to start, if you want to know where it's 321, and we're going to start with the book. So we're going to chapter 3, Death's Intern. And our girl Isis met Death, and now is getting ready to figure out what is wrong with her life. So let's see how we do. By the way, remember, I am not a professional narrator, so please be gentle with the comments. I'm just here to enjoy the day, so hopefully you guys have some fun with me. So let's do this. Chapter 3. I heard voices, but I couldn't make them out. Was I dead? My eyelids were heavy, and there was a heavy weight on my chest. Dad said she didn't kill people. Maybe she made an exception. Constantine, get off her. You're killing her. I heard a man say, or was it a boy? No way, dude. I don't weigh that much. Another male said, the one who was sitting on me? I tried to move, but I couldn't. You were at least 15 pounds of solid fur, with pressure points directly on her chest. What was the boy talking about? Why was a man in a fur coat sitting on me? How does a grown man weigh only 15 pounds? I was finally able to open my eyes. Ah! I couldn't help it. I was staring at a pair of feline eyes inches from my face. See, I told you, she's not dead. It talked. The cat on my chest was talking. I was dead. There was no other explanations. Quick note, for anybody who's had a cat or a cat in your house, this is common knowledge that the cat is going to sit on your chest and stare at you until you open your eyes. So Isis got a little reality check on cats, whether they talked or not. This is what they do all the time. So welcome to my world. I don't know about ISIS, but this happens to me all the time. So let's go back in. Fine, you're right, not dead. Can you get off her now? She might like to breathe properly now. The boy was sitting in front of 3 computer monitors to my left. I was lying on a black leather couch. The cat jumped up and sat on the back of the couch, glaring down at me. Directly in front of the couch was a 50-inch flat screen TV mounted on the wall above the computer station. At least 1,000 security monitors were mounted onto the wall as well, each with a different image that should change every 15 seconds. Instead of a wall on the right-hand side, there was a wall-to-wall glass. The bottom half of the glass was darker. From my location, I noticed we were on a second floor of a building. Guess the boy and the cat were staring at me. Hi, I'm Bartholomew. The boy walked over to me and extended his hand. He looked to be around 11, maybe 5 feet and less than 100 pounds. He had wavy brown hair and hazel eyes. After several long moments, I shook his head. Hi, I'm ISIS. What was going on here? ISIS, like... No, not like the terrorist group. I was going to say like the Egyptian goddess, he said with a smile on his face. You're a little too old to be named after that group. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Nobody ever guessed that. First person that has ever gotten it right, and I sound like a royal jerk. I'm impressed. She's willing to apologize, the cat said. I stared at him. My head was going to explode if I took any more of this. He was a handsome cat, a tabby with gorgeous stripes, but he was huge. Please tell me what's going on, my voice cracked, and I was too stunned to care. Like I said, I'm Bartholomew, and that is Constantine. Death brought you over. But Bartholomew sounded way too cheery to be talking about death. Am I dead? Or are you 2 part of my 3 spirits are here to tell me how to change my life? Because my life had turned into a horrible Lifetime movie. Kid, you've been watching too much TV. Death told you the deal. You kill her intern, you take her place. You take his place. We're here to guide you, Constantine said, very matter of fact. I was never going to get used to a talking cat. Constantine is the guardian. He's your walking resource guide to the supernatural world. Trust me, when it comes to that stuff, he's better than Google, Bartholomew said as he went back to his computer area. And what is your job here? I needed to work on my people skills, but I had a talking cat on my left. And at this point, I was too stunned to care. Your supply guy. Anything you want, I get, Bartholomew said. He's also a hacker and a genius. If Death weren't his legal guardian and kept him off the grid, he would be on every watch list in the world, Constantine said, sounding very proud of the boy's skills. I ran my hand over my face. This was too much. I got off the couch to get my blood flowing. I could see the rest of the room. It was at least 50 feet long, with a kitchen area on the far side and a dining place in the middle. A door on the right-hand side led to what I assumed were bedrooms. A door on the left led to the staircase down. The building had a balcony that ran the whole perimeter of the building on the inside. It was about 4 feet wide. The first floor didn't have any windows. There were a few on the second floors above the balcony. The first floor was open space. It looked like a house with a mechanic workshop on one side and an impressive gym on the other. The greenish-yellow Mustang was parked inside as well. Where are we? I asked Bartholomew. I wasn't ready to talk to the cat. At Nash Business Park. P.S. This is a real location, so if you're driving down Texarkana, you take 82, you will run into the Nash Business Park. So finding locations for Death's Intern was interesting because I wanted to take place in the Texarkana area, but I still needed a location to put this pseudo, hideout for the people. So if you drive down there, you can possibly imagine their building located there. So just bear with me. Still fantasy. Some things I have the right to imagine, I hope. So just in case. But the Nash Business Park, it is real. FY. They let you build a house at the business park? I obviously had not heard of him. I've not heard him right. She's a little slow. Maybe we got a damaged intern. Constantine actually looked concerned. From the outside, this looks like all the other warehouses here. Maybe little bigger. We're at 45 by 110 feet. Reinforced ballistic steel and concrete, not to mention we're a registered business. We're Reapers Incorporated, Bartholomew said. I was totally lost. Am I in shock? I probably hit my head somewhere. Am I hallucinating? My head was spinning. This was crazy. Oh, please don't faint. Bartholomew ran over to me and sat me back down. Breathe in and out, slowly, he said, waving his hand, trying to air me out. At any other time, I would have laughed. Bartholomew, get her the handbook, Constantine said from the couch. Bartholomew hurried back to his desk and pulled a thin folder from his drawer. He gave Constantine an odd look. The cat nodded at him. With that blessing, he came over and handed me the folder. This thing looked like a brochure you get at a travel agency, but it read Intern's Manual. Are you serious? I was holding a 5x8 manual on how to be desk intern. Constantine jumped down from the back of the couch and stared at me. It was impossible, but it really felt as he was staring me down. You have 3 days to decide, and you have already wasted 5 hours. So let's get the rules. Rule number 1, you cannot tell anyone you work for death. By the way, that should be simple for anybody because nobody's going to believe her, so okay. Rule number 2, you cannot kill anyone unless it's in self-defense. Rule 3, you cannot contact death to get you out of trouble unless you're actually dying. At that point, it wouldn't matter because she will be around the corner, so don't worry about it. Rule 4, this is your primary job. If you decide to have any other employment, which I don't know why you would, those hours cannot conflict with ours. Rule 5, any romantic relationship cannot interfere with the job. You find all the rules on page 2 of the manual. Constantine was not even taking a breath. Of course, he was a dog and cat, so probably normal rules did not apply to him. Wait a minute, I haven't agreed to anything. I don't even know what death intern does. Why does death need an intern to begin with? I needed the insanity to end so I could go home. Finally, a reasonable question. We are in the soul business, Constantine said so very dramatically. If he had fingers, he would have made question marks in the air. Death delivers souls from their lifetime to their final destination. Where exactly would that be? I had to ask. Honestly, that explanation made no sense. It depends on the person and how they live their lives. In your case, you will go to purgatory. Constantine delivered that news with no emotion. What? Why? Okay, I was outraged. How did he know that? You're Catholic, right? Constantine asked, and I nodded yes. Okay, you killed a man. It was an accident. Did everyone know about that? Exactly. If you had actually wanted to murder him, you would be going to hell. Since it was an accident and you're an okay person, purgatory it is. Constantine was obviously had practiced in delivering horrible news. He wasn't even blinking. But I don't have a chance to repent or do something? I was feeling pretty sick now. Listen, child, there are no lawyers in the afterlife. This is your dogma, not mine. We're in the business of helping souls move on. What have you done to repent for your sins? When was the last time you went to confession? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself, so back to business. I was speechless. Constantine was right. The last 6 months, all I've done was run away. I've never gone to confession, and I have been to Mass maybe a handful of times. Didn't have the excuse of not having any churches nearby. Being in the middle of the Baptist Bible Belt, Texarkana actually had 2 Catholic churches, one in each state. The churches were less than 10 minutes from each other. Catholic churches were very rare in the South. Based on the Constantine speech, I was feeling like a horrible human being. Constantine to Isis. Come in, Isis. Constantine had actually slapped me out of my petty party. He had the softest paws on the planet. Are you listening to me? Sorry, just contemplating my afterlife. My afterlife was looking pretty depressing. That's great. But you're not dead yet, so do that on your own time. The intern job is easy. You monitor abnormal activities, that might interfere with Death doing her job. With that, Constantine leaned back and started licking his paws. I looked between Constantine and Bartholomew, totally lost. One more time, in English this time, abnormal activities. Those two were nuts. Bartholomew, break it down for her, please. Constantine didn't stop cleaning his paws when he spoke. Isis, it's simple. When people die, their souls depart from their bodies. Death is there to collect them. Souls are powerful, and at times other entity tries to steal them. Death doesn't have time to track those incidents down, so the intern does. Bartholomew actually believed that makes sense. Somebody help me. Interns. There are more than one intern? Of all the things I had heard, why did that bother me? Of course, silly child. There's one per continent. Did you honestly think you could monitor the whole world? We're responsible for North America. This is going to take us a while. Constantine gave me that bored look again, but at least he has stopped grooming himself. If you're responsible for all of North America, why would you pick Texarkana for a home base? I was trying to sound just as naughty as Constantine. We didn't. You did. We're here because you're here. Bartholomew said very softly, trying to avoid my glare. We were doing fine in New York. You know how hard it is to find gluten-free food for this boy? It was Constantine's turn to sound snippy. There was no way I was responsible for them being here. Okay, this is crazy. I need to get home. I can't get any more of this. I got up and tried to find the exit. Don't forget your manual. Your minivan's outside with the keys and the ignition. By the way, why does a 20-something girl drive a minivan? Constantine asked as he curled up on the couch, ready for a nap. It can carry a lot of stuff, I replied weakly as I got my bearings again. I slowly walked towards the door. Still odd, unless you were planning on starting a band. Constantine chuckled to himself. I looked over my shoulder. Bartholomew was busy scanning his monitor. Bye, Isis. See you tomorrow, Bartholomew yelled, not even looking out from the screens. Bye, I whisper. I prayed I would never see either of them again. So that is chapter 3. Introduction to Constantine, Bartholomew, and Isis. And yes, Constantine is snotty from the beginning. Isis is, I guess, handles it really well if you think about it. So if you have no idea that there's a supernatural world, and you have no idea that the cats can talk, which I'm sure anybody with a cat assumes they do, this is kind of that reaction. So you get chapter 3 of really kind of jump into the world of Isis as she's trying to just mind her own business. So if you have any questions so far, let me know. I'm going to sip. By the way, cheers. It is a juice kind of day. I'm sure it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's a little early here in Texas. So we're going to stay with passion fruit. So chapter 3 got you to meet the crew and kind of what she would be expected to work with. Isis is literally just trying to mind her own business. It's one of those kind of reality checks. Yes, you get a little bit of the snark from Constantine, or a lot of the snark. You get a commentary of what to expect from the afterlife, something that Isis hadn't really thought about. And you get Bartholomew, who's just sweet as can be, just trying to calm everything down. And yes, he is boy genius extraordinaire. So, if you guys are ready, I said we were going to do chapter 3 and 4. We're going to jump into 4 because, you know, how do you go back to normal life? Let's be honest, after you met Constantine and death. So this is what Isis is trying to get her mind wrapped together. Remember, she has no idea any of this happened. She was minding her own business, just trying to do the thing. And here she is. So here we go. Chapter 4. I was late for work. I was never late for work. Thanks to the army, I was brainwashed to believe that being on time meant late. Everywhere I went, I was at least 15 minutes early. Today, I was barely moving. As my drill sergeant used to say, I was moving like pond water. My shift at Abuelita started at 4 p.m. It was 4:45 by the time I showed up. Honestly, it wasn't as anyone could blame me if I could tell a soul. I had managed to crawl back to bed at 7 a.m. The sun was coming up and I drove home. I hadn't done an all-nighter in years. My party days were over. At least when I was partying, I didn't end up feeling depressed and overwhelmed. I prayed for sleep, but all I got were nightmares. I've been plagued by nightmares since my parents' death. The nightmares were worse after the military. The ones this morning were not any better. I popped an Ambien at 11 o'clock after waking myself up screaming. Thanks to the VA, I had more pills than a pharmacy. Why cure the problem when you can knock it out? The Ambien did the trick. I had a dreamless slumber, unfortunately. It was hard to wake up from a drug-induced sleep. It was 4:16 when I woke up. My head was pounding, and I felt as if I had run a marathon. My body ached everywhere. I took a military 3-minute shower and was out the door by 4:35. The blessing of Texarkana was there was very little traffic, and you could get anywhere in less than 10 minutes. Even speeding, I was still very late. And it rankled me. I hated being late. Saturdays, Abuelita was very busy. Abuelita offered a half-off menu from 4:30 to 7:30. As I pulled up, I could see the place was packed. 3 tables were filled with families while the bar were packed, with people waiting for carryouts. I ran up the wail and went to the back door. No need to try to fight with the crowd. Girl, late night? Where were you partying? You look like hell. Angelito was back in his usual mood, very mischievous. Hi to you too, Angelito. I didn't even try to smile. Angelito was beaming like a firelight. He had a great night by the looks of his chest. Some poor soul had left marks on him. He was shameless, wearing them like a badge of honor. I passed him and headed straight for the kitchen counter. Abuelita was by her double stove cooking away. Isis, are you okay? We called 4 times and you didn't answer. There was concern in Abuelita's voice. Great. Now I felt like hell. Another thing I hated was having people worry about me. Yes. I'm sorry, Abuelita. I couldn't sleep. Took an Ambien this morning, knocked me out, and I missed my alarm. That was the truth. No need to explain the reason for my lack of sleep. Child, I told you, those pills are going to kill you. I got a tea you should try. It's all natural and will help you sleep. Maybe even cure those nightmares for you. How did Abuelita know about my nightmares? Sometimes I wonder if she was a mind reader. Before I could wonder for too long, 3 plates of food were flying at me. On Saturday nights, Angelita and I took turns serving and cleaning tables. With the 2 of us handling the customers, Abuelita pushed more food out than most McDonald's fully staffed. Saturday nights were my favorite night of work. We were busy most of the nights, the tips were great, and time flew by. This was not one of those nights. My head pounded most of the night, and my vision was blurry. I have floaters in my eyes, and those little pesky you get with age. At my age, I was blaming too many bad parachute landings that resulted in too many hits to the head. No doctor will confirm my theory, but I was sticking to it. And if you ever have floaters, you know those things that kind of come down your eye that you get spending half the day washing them away that don't go? Yeah, Isis has some of those. She's, 25. Should not have been having those, but it happens. So here we go. The rush hour had finally ended. Our regulars, a group of about 10 or so, avoided that crowd. Most of the regulars were loners or quiet couples with no kids. Not the crowd you will find at Walmart in the middle of the night. They had a quality to them, that of knowing and distance. They all loved Abuelita. It wasn't just the food that they came. Most wanted private talks with her. During those times, Abuelita would prepare the food while I managed the serving and cleaning the tables. By 8 o'clock, the happy hour crowd had left. The first of our regular customers walked in. The couple was in their early 30s. The lady had flowing dark hair and always wore a peasant skirt. My godmother and she probably shop at the same store. The gentleman, on the other hand, had the best collection of Hawaiian shorts and sandals I have ever seen. Even in the winter he wore them. Today, he wore a blue pair with midnight blue shirt. The couple always sat at one of the tables by the window. She always looked even paler standing next to her man with his perfect tan. If he wasn't Hawaiian, the man was probably Filipino. 7 years in the army had a way of expanding your horizons when it came to ethnicity. They always ordered the same, horchata to drink and enchilada with corn tortillas. It was rude to assume, so I stopped by their table to check on them. I brought them the horchata. Anyways, horchata was a typical Mexican drink made out of rice. Few people order it unless they had it before. Sweet and very refreshing. It was our #1 seller with our regulars. I placed 2 glasses down and smiled at the couple. The lady looked up at me and smiled. The moment our eyes met, I felt a sharp pain in my forehead, almost between my eyes. I took a deep breath and leaned on the table. Isis, are you okay? She touched my hand as she spoke. Her hands were hot, almost burning. So by the way, this is going to be the beginning of your introduction to Mexican food. So if you're in the Texas area, it's very Tex-Mex in nature, so be prepared. But we will have lots and lots of food discussion throughout the book. So sorry if you're not hungry, you will be eventually. So come and join us. So here we go. So yes, horchata is also one of my favorite drinks. So if you enjoy the really fun of it, try, let me know. Give me some comments if you're a fan of horchata. Kind of taking notes here. I pulled away without thinking. I tried to speak, but her eyes were glowing. I looked at her man, and his eyes were cat-like. Oh God. My mouth went dry and my hands were sweaty. I bumped against the table behind me as I backed away. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. I ran past the kitchen and out the back door. Deep breaths were not calming me down. I rubbed my face with my hands, trying to erase what I had just seen. What had I seen? Nothing made sense. My head was worse. The back door opened, but I didn't dare turn around. Isis? Are you okay? The Joneses just told me you ran out the back door. What's going on? Been acting kind of weird all day. Abuelita had her arms crossed over her chest when I turned to face her. She looked younger and stronger. There was a faint glow to her. She always radiated heat. I couldn't focus on her face. Isis, are you listening to me? I'm sorry, Abuelita. I just really don't know what came over me. My head is just killing me. I looked at the ground as I spoke. Abuelita was too much to look at now. It was probably the light overhead that gave her that weird glow. Child, you need to start taking better care of yourself. If you're good, let's go inside. The regulars are hungry. She walked back inside and held the door. I took another deep breath. I needed to get it together. In less than 24 hours, I've been followed by death, met a talking cat, and hung out with a boy genius. At this rate, I was going to go nuts before my 3-day deadline. If it was actually real and I hadn't just dreamed or hallucinating. The top of this crazy day, I just needed Samuel L. Jackson to walk in and recruit me for the Avenger or Triple X. Breathe. Just breathe, Isis. You're going to be okay. Why do we talk to ourselves if we're 3 years old when all hell broke loose? That is one of those horrible habits I couldn't break. I steady myself and pick up the place. The Joneses were creatures of habit. So for anybody who's ever had one of those small breakdowns, do you talk to yourself? Do you try to calm yourself down? I probably do, since I put it in my books a lot. So we'll see. Isis is not doing too well. I really can't blame her, but here we go. Hi, here's your food. I'm sorry about earlier. I'm having a horrible headache. That wasn't a lie, but I made sure to keep my eyes on the place when I talked to them. Whatever was going on, I didn't want to repeat. Oh, that's too bad. Are you going to be okay? Mr. Jones sounded very sincere. I nodded and slowly walked back to the bar before one of them tried to touch me again. I still feel the heat on my hand where Mrs. Jones had touched me. Isis, come over here and help me with this pot, Abuelita said from the back of the kitchen. The kitchen area, Abuelita, was larger than the front. There had 3 large fridges and 2 deep freezers. The cooking area was at the left of the building, and a sink sat all the way on the far right. The door was in the middle of the back. The back door was in the middle of the back wall. Abuelita made extra beans and rice on Saturdays to donate to the shelters downtown. She was struggling to put the bean pot on the fridge. Angelito, watch the front for now. Isis can handle the back. I was so grateful to Abuelita. She was truly a caring woman. Thank you, Abuelita. I really meant it. Her compassion for people was probably the reason I never looked for another job. I was making less than minimum wage, right at $6.50. With the tips, the money balanced out. I wasn't getting rich, but I could afford rent and comfortable for my standards. For over an hour, I scrubbed pots and pans. Angelito brought in a steady stream of plates and dishes. At one point, I wondered where he kept finding them. I was watching the big items and running the dishwasher for the plates and cups. Thank God we had 2. Fortunately, the work was calming my nerves. Instead of complaining, I enjoyed the peace of the simple actions and the running of water. My fingers were pruned by the time I finished all the dishes. It was still early, and the regulars will be still coming in all the way to midnight. With the water off, I could hear Abuelita's conversation at the bar. One of my favorite customers had walked in. I recognized Gabe's voice. He had a very white voice with smoldering blue eyes that were incredible with his jet black hair. If Michelangelo needed a model for David, I was sure Gabe would have qualified. It had been years since my last date, but I felt clumsy and young around Gabe. Maybe Gabe was the reason I love Saturday nights. I was told he came in Mondays and Wednesday night as well. Too bad. I only work Thursdays to Sunday. Abuelita's nieces handled the rest of the week. He was a great eye candy. I knew Gabe's order by heart. He always sat at the bar. Something about the tables being too tight. Didn't care about the reason. At the bar, I didn't need a reason to talk to him. Angelito put in his order, and in less than 3 minutes, Abuelita was ready. Carnitas asada with rice and beans, no tortillas. That was as usual. I wasn't a meat eater, but watching Gabe enjoy his food made me want to try the pork at least once. My early incidents were forgotten, and I rushed to take his plate from Abuelita. Angelita smiled and bowed down when I walked by. Do your thing, little mama. The child was unstoppable. With that mischievous smile, I turned around to face Gabe, who was looking at me. Oh God. I dropped his plate. Gabe was glowing, and he had wings. Not the fake plastic crap people use for Halloween. Oh no, these babies were real, and at least 5 feet from his shoulders down to his legs. No wonder the boy couldn't fit in a chair. He was a freaking angel. Or demon. Oh God, I had no clue. I looked over his shoulders and everyone was staring at me. They looked like regular night crowd except that they were not humans. I had a 3-eyed monster in one corner and a pointy-eared couple in another. Everyone was glowing. Their eyes were inhuman. I was having a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. My mind was in overdrive. I was nauseated and the room was starting to spin. Angelito put his hand on my shoulder and I bolted out the door. The tears came down before I could stop them. I was trembling all over. Even the woods behind Abuelita looked alive. There was so much movement out here. Isis, sweetie, you need to go home. I barely heard Abuelita's voice. It sounded muffled and far. Honey, you need sleep. You're sleep deprived. Can you drive yourself or can I have Abuelita take you? Abuelita was careful not to face me. She walked up behind and slowly guided me towards the whale out front. Sleep deprived. That's it. I'm hallucinating. I sounded drunk even to myself. You're right. I just need to go home and sleep. Are you sure I can leave? I felt guilty leaving, but I knew I couldn't stay. Sweetie, I'm afraid you might dump a plate on my customers. Are you sure you can drive? Abuelita didn't sound mad. She's truly concerned. I climbed into the whale and waved at her without looking. Home was not going to help me now, but I had a feeling I knew a pair that could. So my friends, this is chapter 4. You got to introduce to Isis, and now she knows the supernatural is real. So she has met Constantine, talking cat. She has met Death on chapter 2. So now she's putting the pieces together because she has no idea why, in a matter of a blink of an eye, she was able to go from minding her own business, serving food at Abuelita's, to now seeing angels and who knows what else. And unfortunately, the moment you see them, they see you back. So this is where we're at with Isis, my friend. It is absolutely fun and adventure. Remember, I'm on a mission to give away 1 million books of this Intern. So if you want to join the excitement and you can't wait to find out what happened in chapter 5, what is Constantine going to tell poor Isis? And then Isis can get her life back together. Because let's be honest, nobody needs a talking cat. Nobody needs angels and demons and all that fun stuff all trying to get a hold of you while you're trying to mind your own business. So hopefully you guys enjoy the reading. Thank you for being patient. I enjoyed it. Next week, I'm going to be at Dallas Fan Expo. During the exhibit, I'll be in the Artist Alley. So if you're in the area and want to check us out, come and say hi. I have awesome Isis cards that you should want to pick up. So we will be doing probably a live reading very early or maybe very late, depending on the schedule. So we'll see from there. But we'll come back to chapter 5 and 6. So see how the adventure continues. In the meantime, my friends, pick up a copy. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss this. We have podcasts, live interviews, book readings, and all sorts of fun stuff. So thank you very much. Please stay safe. Enjoy the holidays. And I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.